Like, there's so many other things to even remotely criticize about this game. Are we less than a minute?
The first run has started. Yup, this is gonna be the rest of stream.
We're gonna give this video a shot. See, I'm curious if I'm gonna agree with a lot of this video. Let's see. Let's see how this video goes.
Hold on, you sick freak. Did you click on this video expecting to see criticism of God's most perfect game?
Also, hi Zen. It's declined because you're not playing it. I tried to play yesterday. You guys are like, no.
Final Fantasy XIV? How dare you even imply it has problems that could use fixing? 14 has the best gameplay, the best design, the greatest community, by the way, that your eyes have ever seen. And
FF14 does have a good community. I'm sorry. Like, okay. There's gonna be a wild comparison, but these both annoy me to the same degree. Or not annoy me, but I have the same. I'm gonna give you an extreme of something I cannot stand, and an extreme of something that, like, I think is the most accurate thing going on the internet right now. I get a lot of Quentin Tarantino movie clips and Tarantino interview stuff because I'm a huge Quentin Tarantino fan. I love his movies, and every Room Tip IQ commenter, I swear to God, thinks they are the funniest person to put a comment on any of his movies. From, it could be Django, it could be Pulp Fiction, it could be Hateful Eight, whatever. And anytime a character who's written to be a terrible racist, it says some terrible racist shit and drops like 3 slurs in a single sentence, like 8 of the top comments are people going, Leonardo DiCaprio, that was the line was supposed to say, sir, you can leave, or some stupid bullshit that's like, the line wasn't supposed to be racist at all, actually, but he went off script, though. He's just, it was insane. Shut up. You're not funny. You're not funny. And then on the other side, something that I agree with at the same level of just intensity is, man, X thing is really fucking good when you don't have 80,000 people from Twitter just screaming in your ear going, it's bad, it's terrible, you shouldn't like this thing. The FF community is fine. The FF community is still very accommodating and very fun and polite and just sweet and genuinely helpful. Yes, you run into people in Duty Finder sometimes who are just shitheels. Yes, you run into people on Twitter all the goddamn time because it is a website that is Pavloving everyone into engagement bait via rage. That is all it's doing. And much like League of Legends that just manipulates you by giving you these short dopamine bursts that are always bookended with just annoyance after annoyance after annoyance. It has been proven over and over again that Pavlovian tricks and Pavlovian manipulation causes like it just higher tensions and worse lash outs when it comes to negative moods. And just anything designed like that, of course the community is going to be terrible. Of course on Twitter everybody's going to be terrible if they're just in general, because of how the website works. When you go on there and you're just bombarded with stuff that it knows you're going to click on or knows you're going to stop and read or look at for an extra few seconds because you dislike it, because it does slightly annoy you. Of course, the people who play FF that also chronically are on Twitter are gonna be dog shit. Of course, they're gonna be terrible and vocally just vitriolic. But if you go into the game, nobody acts like that. Everybody's polite. Everybody's sweet. They're very helpful. If you put anything, the amount of times I have been short on Gil or short on something, and I just put in the shout chat or yell chat in Limsa or a random field somewhere or just the middle of nowhere where no one should be, and I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, I just want to ask, does anybody in the area have like 200 gil that I can borrow, like 100,000 gil I can borrow, 15 of X item or whatever I need? Instantly someone in chat, yeah, I got you, man, where are you at? And I drop my flag and they come right over. Like I feel like the community complaints and any jab or allusion to it being a huge negative cesspool, I'm sorry, you're just wrong. I'm sorry. You do not actually play this game. I mean, it's kind of funny, but I'm also room temp. Well, that just means you're comfortable. It's a good temperature to be. That's how you know it's a game. I just can't with... Yeah, I there's so many other things to even remotely criticize about this game. Are we less than a minute?
The first run has started. Yup, this is gonna be the rest of stream.
It's not. I know. Hold on. 21 seconds into this game, into this video. We're hot. 21 seconds. We're making progress. We'll get there.
Because my sense of self is inextricably tied to this game, I consider any criticism about it a criticism of me. So I'm going to be very
Arms linked is actually pretty common. Every girl I meet pops it immediately.
upset if you have something negative to say, mister. Or at least, that's how it used to be. Back in the day, you couldn't say.
Today I was talking with my FC about classes, how to improve, what to do next, and so on. We began comparing our past results, and one topic that came up during our conversation was whether FF14 is currently in its worst state ever. What do you guys think? Is it in its worst state? If not, when do you say the game is at its lowest point for you? This thread's from a year ago. I'm kind of curious.
Anything about Final Fantasy.
Could whoever programmed this sim make my model the right gender, please? You gotta take that up with like the feedback board. You gotta find the forum first. Do these fools not know about 1.0? Honestly, any answer that is not no, it's not 1.0 anymore is wrong.
C14 without the game dev.
The game has more players than ever. It's likely the game is only in a bad state if you're a longtime player.
Riding army breathing down your neck. But these days, I see videos criticizing 14 everywhere I look.
I mean, yeah. Like we watched one of these. I'm not gonna say which one, but it might be the one in the center of the screen right now. And that video, I'm sorry, I still vehemently disagree with like every statement in that video. We talked about it. We talked about the fact that multiple times the comment was made and like hit on of like, why are these characters like Y'shtola and Thancred or Graha here? Why are they even part of the story? And we hit on that and for a very long time. I'm not going to rant about it and like regurgitate basically what I've already said 3 times. The short of it is, so I'm going to regurgitate a little bit. I'm going to baby bird everybody for just a moment. You have to have characters present, even if they just need to see one thing that happens in another location. Be mad at that. Be upset about that, but they're gonna need to be present to see something that is going to be useful in their arc later. And guess what? Y'shtola saw some wild shit that I guarantee you is going to be completely applicable in her arc whenever she gets back to Runar. That's all I'm gonna say. And anyone who complained about Y'shtola being present in Dawntrail just to look at the magic that was being used, I'm like, shut up. Just shut up. She literally is off studying and learning to obtain the knowledge to get back to Runa. What do you think studying and knowledge? Oh no, I traveled halfway across the states to go see a museum because it would help me with my thesis paper. You mean you traveled 800 plus miles each direction just so you could look at one exhibit at a museum to help you with your goal? Yes, it happens. Like, it's such a stupid point to bring up. I'm sorry. I'm still mad about like people criticizing that. But why is Y'shtola there? She's there because she needs to see something. Graha's just here to sit. There and be pretty smart boy stuff. That's all I need him here for. Sure. He's also someone who wants to educate himself more constantly. Of course he's going to show up. It's so obnoxious and obtuse and just is the most you're looking for something to complain about. If you're complaining about characters being there to literally see one thing, that one thing is more relevant to their journey than most of the shit they encountered in Endwalker. I'm sorry, but it is. Because she has wares and we have the coin. Criticize it because that will make it better, but please, for the love of God, stop acting like little problems make it a game-ending scenario. That's what like every clip and video I've made on FF14 has been about. It's yes, I'm criticizing the game. In fact, most of the time, you know what? Let me change that. I'm not criticizing this game most of the time. Most of my videos, I'm criticizing the player base's like lack of just consistency and integrity with this game. Every 5 seconds, this community on on social media, period. It's not even in the game. I have not, you know what? I play this game all fucking time. I've never seen anybody in the shout chat in Limsa like, what's going on with Yoshi-P? Why is he not releasing content? Why is the game not doing this? Man, get off social media. No one's complaining about this fucking game anywhere. The most you'll see is, yeah, I think this attack could be adjusted a little bit. And it's genuine conversation. But you go on social media and it's nothing but this doom engagement posting. That's just like, they're just trying to get you. I saw like a post the other day that was, man, this drip feed of content is just trying to make sure that you don't leave the game and you just have to keep paying your monthly sub. First of all, the developers have said multiple times, and I'd zoom in more if I could, leave, go away if you've beaten the content, cancel your goddamn sub and stop playing their game. They have said that before. Leave the game, come back when they have a new expansion. They're okay with that. They have encouraged that in the past. They are a healthy development team. They understand that you are a person. Leave, come back later, stop paying your sub. You are not beholden to this game. You know, 100% agree on Yashola. It makes perfect sense. She'd show up to study magic. Same with Graha, just hanging around doing bestest catboy things. It's all because negativity gets you numbers. Oh, no, no, I don't know. Like, you're right. It is. If you're ever on Twitter, I'm serious. 95% of the, yes, I'm pulling that number out of my ass, but I guarantee you it's pretty close. Most people on Twitter that post a contradictory statement to whatever OP has posted about, they have a blue check mark because they get paid for it. They get paid for the attention. The only thing I see in game of people saying something will ruin the game is that one phishing scam that shows up every 3 months. FF14 is such a genuinely good experience from top to bottom when you're not on social media. It is such a solid game. And social media counts as YouTube, by the way. Just to establish that social media counts as YouTube. I don't think I have posted here. I'll pull up my channel right now. I don't think I have posted a single video on FF14 that isn't explicitly negative about FF14. The housing video, not explicitly negative about FF14. I am highlighting some issues with it, and we're talking about how WoW has established what we would want in FF14, and that if they follow through on it, FF14 is definitely going to probably need to get to work on at least tweaking housing a little bit. Yes, my thumbnail for it is WoW just beat FF14. It's the game, whatever. Like, FF14 mobile differences from PC. Is it a negative video? No. If I change this title and thumbnail to be more negative, I bet I get more views. I would bet I get more views, and I probably will change it. Glamour update, it's worse. Was this a video of me doom posting? No, it was me explaining why the new update is bad and what they could do to improve it, and why like their normal pace of improving things means it's not going to be fixed for a long time, and why it probably would never be fixed in the first place. Same with Dawntrail isn't Shadowbringers. Arcadian's too hard. The players having trouble with mechanics. Dawntrail is too hard. None of these are ever negative about the game for the sake of being negative. They're all criticism. None of them are critiques. None of them are critiques. Or no, sorry, I have it backwards. They're all critiques. None of them are criticism. None of it is negative. It's all meant to be critiques. It's all it's meant to be. I do my best to not criticize FF14 because there's no reason to be negative about a game that I love so much. I critique it because I want this game to be better. I want this game to still have flaws because that's what makes an MMO so much fun. But I want the little rough edges that can be fixed to be polished up a little bit because it makes the game better for everybody. Who's in the thumbnail? I don't know. Some weird VTuber that doesn't exist anymore. Okay, anyway, let's go back to this video. What were we at? We were at 2 minutes and 15 seconds in. No, we were like 20 seconds in, weren't we?
Final Fantasy XIV without the game dev riding army breathing down your neck. But these days, I see videos criticizing 14 everywhere I look. They're practically the only 14 videos coming out these days. And by making this one, I feel like I'm jumping on a bandwagon of sorts. Please, look at my credentials. I swear.
Scholar, White Mage, Samurai, Machinist. I don't play any of these except for Samurai. I don't know if any of these are good.
I'm not a trend, Andy. I have a long and fleshed out history.
You react too much. Give me some blank stare while you eat. Should I start just eating at the start? That would be fun. Would you guys be okay with that if like I eat when we first start stream while we watch some videos? I can't do that because then someone's gonna come in from like an FF stream, from the FF streaming community, and be like, why are you just copying Xenos? You're just copying Xenos' Vex. That's his thing. He watches things about cave divers and true crime murders while he eats food for 45 minutes and then goes, y'all want to do some roulettes? Y'all want to play top? If you watch Zeems, you know that's exactly what he does. He'll watch a clip for a minute and look over at the camera or at the chat and be like, y'all ever done that? And then go back to the video and just wait for chat to respond. That's all he does. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, by the way. I love Zeems. I watch his VODs all the time. I genuinely watch it. I think it's so funny that he talks to chat like he's in a room with like really old friends that don't talk a lot. Where they'll be watching something, like a Fushigi commercial will come on his stream, for example, and I'm like, you guys ever have a Fushigi? Those things are cool, man. And then he'll just go back to watching the video. I love Zeems' content, but that's literally what he does, and it cracks me up.
Jarvis, my streamer is too good at reacting. Reduces chromosomes to 10.
Wow, I need those chromosomes. Those are mine. I can keep eating these Skittles, though. Mm. Oh, that was a hollow Skittle shell. That was cool. That was good. That was special. Oh my god, that's really good. Give me hollow Skittles. Oh my god. That was so good. Oh, like when I first opened my Dark Souls 2 Special Edition in my mouth. Diabetes? No. It's the popped Skittles. Focus. Focus. There we go. Hollow Skittles. Is there reverse Hollow Skittles?
Lovingly on this game. That is, until one day, I stopped. I quit making videos about 14. I didn't talk about it on stream anymore. If somebody asked me when I'd play it, I'd laugh nervously while chat spammed clueless. I developed a script of sorts. Whenever people would ask me why I stopped playing, I told them that I burnt out. I told them that turning it into my job made playing it feel like work and that I just needed some time apart. But after literal years have passed, I realized that I was wrong. It's not that I was burnt out on 14. It's not that making videos about it ruined my passion for it. Those videos were made because I had passion in the first place. It turns out I lied. I didn't stop because I made it my job. I stopped because 14 has done nothing worth being passionate for. So let's talk about that. And our conversation is gonna take a hot second, which means that at some point I'm bound to have an opinion you disagree with. Feel free to run to the comments and write essays about how wrong I am.
I'm curious of how much of this game did, like, how much of the extracurricular content has Lucy done? I'm assuming a lot. And if you've done like everything in the game that you're interested in, okay, fair enough. That's fine. Not gonna lie, 2D woman don't do it for me anymore. I need a one-dimensional woman. How do you draw a one-dimensional bed without it becoming 2D? Is there a fourth dimensional VTuber?
And because my
Someone stop drawing porn on stream.
To enjoy reading unhinged manifestos about Final Fantasy XIV. Just keep in mind that despite popular opinion, I don't want the game to die. I want to see it rise out of this slump and go back to being the f***ing joy to play that it once was.
I'm gonna I know she just said run to the comments. I'm gonna go ahead and like immediately disagree with the fact that saying this game is in a slump is I'm sorry. Slump like is not how like are the low parts of Lord of the Rings a slump? When nothing's happening in Lord of the Rings, is it a slump? And if you don't find it engaging, does that make it a slump, or does it make it a slower part of the story that you're just personally not vibing with? If you're not enjoying the scenes of Game of Thrones where what's his name? Hot Pot? What's his name? Pot Pie? What's that kid's name? It's like the big guy. He made the really good pies at that little camp. What was his name? I think it was like Hot Pot or something. What was his name? What was that Game of Thrones character's name that made Hot Pie? That was his fucking name. If you don't like the sequences with Hot Pie in Game of Thrones that came like out of nowhere where nothing happens and Arya's there for some reason and there's all these other like younger characters. If you don't care about that, does that make it a slump? To anyone who's been stop defending FF14 React Boy, no, like MMOs breathe. That's one thing about this genre that people self-report on all the time because they will complain.
Pretty heavy.
And I'm not saying that Lucy's doing this here. That's not what I'm building up to. That's not what I'm even alluding to at all. But a lot of people on social media and just in general will say FF14, WoW, RuneScape, Terra back in the day. What's the other big MMO right now? ESO, Black Desert. Awesome. Like, breathing is nice. Good air. You exhale it, get that nasty carbon dioxide out of your body. All of these games, though, expansion comes out, player numbers go up, expansion get beat, player numbers either stabilize or go down a little bit. And then what happens is content cycle. Player numbers go down. Stabilize. New update. Player number goes up a little bit. Stable. Player number go back down. And it keeps going like that until you hit the new big patch. At which point player number that was here go up again. And it's high again. And maybe it goes up more because it was a good expansion like Shadowbringers or Endwalker. And then it comes back down because content cycle. And people don't seem to have this object permanence about how this particular IP genre of games works, where player base go up, player base go down, player base go up, player base go down, player base go up, player base go down. Patch, content cycle, patch, content cycle, patch, content cycle. Is it a slump because we're in patch content cycle? Especially now that we're in patch to start new story, where player base go up some. New story obviously hasn't had time to build up to everything they're building to because this is a setup arc and a transition arc, kind of like Stormblood is. And it's not the strongest. So people go, well, it's not as good as Endwalker and Shadowbringers. We're never going to hit those highs again. Shadowbringers and Endwalker had a Realm Reborn, Heavensward, and Stormblood as their foundations. Dawntrail is starting pretty much fresh with nothing as its foundation. In fact, the foundation for Dawntrail may as well just be 6.0 to 6.5. And 6.0 to 6.5 focus on the 13th so much, we're not going to see it until probably 2 patches from now. Like, and I don't mean 2 like content cycle patches. I mean big patches. We're probably not going to see more of the 13th for like 2 more patches, and that's fine. But to expect it to be this huge big expansion, or even like to revive the game to pre Shadowbringers numbers, or in like between Endwalker and Shadowbringers numbers, I think it's insane. The game's gonna breathe. I don't think it makes it a lull. And if you've done all the content, because this game has been out for a long time, you running out of content and not liking the game anymore because there's nothing to do. Not liking is a bad choice. You not being engaged and excited by FF14's remaining content doesn't mean it's in a lull either. It just means for you personally, you have gotten every bit of enjoyment that you find in this piece of entertainment from it, and that's okay. Doesn't mean it's in a lull though.
Other than that, there will be very minor and vague spoilers for the story, so if you're a huge stickler for that, you might want to head out. Or don't. I like when people cry about spoilers they were already warned about. It gets me all hot and bothered. Oh yeah? You didn't know that they fight.
I don't watch VTubers.
Keep going, I'm almost there. Anyway, no more preamble, roll the damn clip. If I'm gonna talk about the problems with this game, I have to start with the game direction. 14 is not a difficult game and never really has been, which means I'm saying a lot when I tell you that the game has been gradually dumbing down.
Just put the anime woman on the screen reacting.
Simplifying and streamlining gameplay so that the player virtually never experiences failure. Let me put this in Joseph Anderson terms. If Elden Ring had a problem with making things too difficult to keep their reputation of try-hard gameplay alive, then 14 has the opposite problem. 14 wants to make things piss easy so that even a paraplegic chicken with Alzheimer's can keep up.
Okay, hold on. This video came out 2 weeks ago, which means we've already seen Yoshi-P talk about months ago the fact that FF14, yes, this is a problem, but they have switched gears and they are attempting to...
Sex. Lamau.
But they are attempting to adjust this. I'm hoping she qualifies this either at the end of this point or somewhere in the middle, that this has been acknowledged and this is already changed throughout Dawntrail, because Dawntrail has some very difficult ass dungeons for regular content and trials that are equally as just insane for regular content. But like, FF does have this problem. It's why I can't stand early dungeons anymore. They're not fun. They're all boring. They removed all the interesting mechanics from those early dungeons. And the first dungeon where I believe you actually encounter mechanics that you could call complex is, I think, Shadowbringers, which is insane of me to say that.
Trust me, I've broken into Square Enix headquarters and I've seen the chicken. It's crazy shit. This stretches into every part of the base game, including dungeons, raids, hell. Even old content isn't safe. They've been sent to Yoshi-P's veterinarian practice to be declawed, defanged, and of course, utterly fucking neutered. Let me give you an example. One fateful day while playing 14, I got cued into Titan Normal. A very nostalgic primal, great music, overused chicken nugget memes, but I can forgive him for the sins of Larry Zor. Now imagine my surprise when the new player fell off the edge, and 3 seconds later, I was able to res them. Right! I forgot having unique mechanics in fights might be too difficult for new players. So glad that's gone. And then I got the Airy as my dungeon. And in the fight against Nidhogg, I realized there's no more Stinian there. I guess the devs thought casting Cure once or twice on him was...
This one especially caught Flem and I off guard, because I told him about this back whenever he first went through the area, and mid-fight he was like, "What are you talking about? What do you mean? There's no NPC for me to keep an eye on," because I think he was playing healer during that fight.
Too hard for the healers to handle? Never mind how that fucks with the lore or emotional impact. Just get rid of any failure point. It's too risky. What's really ironic and funny about this is that they've tried to backtrack recently. Don't get too excited though, it's the bare minimum. They made the new level 90 to 100 dungeons a bit harder than they were before. Stress.
Okay, okay. Yes, I complain about the fact that the FF14 team do what can be called the bare minimum. Have they rolled back the changes on earlier dungeons? No, they have not. Will they? Probably not. Probably not. And the weird part is, I think we as various levels of veteran players of this game need to hear how those new dungeons are being received by new players. This is anecdotal. I'm going to go based on Flem for me specifically, because he's a WoW player. We all do the bare minimum. It's called living. And when I told him they gutted these dungeons and they're boring now and I hate them, his response was, what, except for one or two, his response was, what do you mean? They were really fun. I actually really liked them. So for new players that are not used to the complexity of level 60, 70 plus, at least in the people I have talked to, which are two actually, Flim and Rich, they've had a good time with the dungeons still. I think a lot of the veteran players are just used to things being so complex. And I'll also say, like, we still have a point as veteran players that, yes, these dungeons are too easy now. They are too simplified. They're annoying to play. They're boring to play. And they should bring them back. And they made up the reasoning. And I'm saying made up, not to explicitly say that it's not entirely true. But I think it is a dressing up of their real intentions when the FF team said, well, we did it to support the development and integration of duty support, where you just do single player and there are AI versions of the Scions doing the dungeon with you. And they go, well, we had to keep it simple because the AI is, it's too complex with the mechanics.
Were dungeons with a full sprout party pale in comparison to a full sprout party worm veil.
Yeah, if you have a full sprout party, these dungeons still are not easy. Like, they're still a little challenging. But what I was going to say is... Shit, what was I going to say? What the fuck was I going to say? Oh my god. Shit. Evie, you like threw me so far off my train of thought. Oh yeah, they said that the AI for the NPCs was like difficult to actually get working with complex mechanics. And I'm sorry. You were going to click play, I think. You were going to stop talking and watch the video. Just you're reacting too much. No, why? I don't buy that reasoning. Specifically because we have AI, not Alcoholics Anonymous. We have AI in the fight with, spoilers for FF. We have, you know what? I won't even say the character in it. We have the fight with Mom. And the fight with Mom, the big H, as they are, is very hard. That fight is rough. And that fight's got a lot going on. Boy, the AI is able to do that just fine. So what is going on with these early dungeons? I think it's just a convenient excuse to give the player base for dumbing down those early dungeons, because for some reason, somewhere on the team, they thought that they were too difficult to get new people in, and they wanted to keep those. They wanted to keep the Endwalker numbers coming. And do I have any proof of that? No. Do I have anything to support that theory? Fuck no. Am I probably wrong? Hell yes. I'm probably super wrong with a lot of my theory, because I am just speculating to an insane degree. However, what I will say with full confidence is every new player that I've talked to that has played through those dungeons has liked them, even though they're very boring to players like me now. And what I will also say is, while they haven't backtracked on those older dungeons, newer dungeons are so goddamn hard compared to anything before. And Yoshi-P has already said that the dev team has understood that, yes, they went a little hard on nerfing things and making things too easy, and they're going to focus on difficulty in the future. And it's also back to the bare minimum thing. This team moves slowly with purpose. They move slowly because they want to see how even a small change will impact this game before they just make a big change, like completely rolling back dungeons or applying duty support to every dungeon at once.
It's mostly perspective when it comes to this.
It is perspective. I think there's some objective reasoning to have, but yeah, it's mostly perspective that you need to have before you actually really look at the objective reasoning that does have its place here, I think. But saying that this team is doing the bare minimum, no, stop. Because by that logic, they've always done the bare minimum. Updates for this game have always been very small tweaks. And then if it works, they add the next step and then the next step. If it doesn't work, they roll back a step or they just don't do that step and they take another path. It's always been like that. That is not bare minimum. This game's development is very confident in what they're doing. And I do not want them doing it any other way. I am okay with how slow it is. That's fine.
On a bit. Not hard enough that you can't figure it out in the first run and then never have to think about it again, but still, that's progress, right? Well, in my opinion, it's too little and way too late. Now, the case for why is hard to crack, but after decades of research, I think I know the answer. After snorting my 10% off with code LucyGamerSubs powder, I play game dev, more game misplay. The secret agenda of it was for money. It really is that simple. If game easy, more people play game. If more game is play, then more is money. Shareholder happy. Yay. It feels like these game devs are truly terrified of losing your sub.
This team has multiple times said to just go away until there is more content and then you can re-up your sub. Has it been a while since they've said something like that? Yes, it has. It's been a while. Saying it's for money implicitly is the most cynical way to sum this up, though.
Stranger, they're not real anime girl.
Saying it's just for money is the most cynical way to summarize this. Yoshi-P has said multiple times that they developed this game in a very confident and intentful manner. Things are slow on purpose. Things are slow because there is so much in this game they don't want a small change to ripple out to fuck up everything else. That is not about money. That is intelligent game design. That is intelligent development. You don't do big changes to a game this size. You don't do large rollbacks to a game this size unless absolutely necessary. Summarizing it as it's just money, I think is cynical and does it a disservice when it comes to the development philosophy that this team has.
That means they're scared of anything that might drive off a new player. Anything that might take away that hit of dopamine that keeps you playing in the first place. They never want you to experience a negative emotion while playing their game. So what do? They take out challenge. They ask less of you. They give everyone the tools to survive so that if the healer is a literal toddler banging on the keyboard, you can still finish the duty without kicking them out. Why do you think Tenchi Jin was changed? Why is Black Mage getting more and more instant casts? Why did they decide pressing Kaiten before Midare was too difficult? Why else would they refuse to nerf pick used?
Where is it? These two, button bloat. Kaiten was removed for button bloat. So many things in this game are removed and the potency is moved to other buttons because of button bloat. So many things in FF14 are changed and moved because of button bloat. There are so many goddamn buttons in this game that they have literally had to implement a system to auto change your buttons because there's so many buttons, because it does get annoying to have to do 1 through 0, 1 through equals, control 1 through equals, control alt or whatever the other modifier is for 1 through equals. That's so many buttons. Cell Ranch response video. I just think I don't saying it's for money and then solidifying this as like the definitive reason. I feel like it's not fair. It's just the most cynical view that you can have about FF14. I feel like it's the most cynical view you can have about one of the most transparent teams in the development industry for video games right now. Yes, there's a financial motivation behind every one of these decisions. It would be stupid of me to not agree with that.
Maybe all those
However,
Monk's core have a reason, you know.
Yeah, I ruined Monk and took it away from me. That's what it did. Now Monk sucks. And I have to play Samurai and be a fucking weeb. And I am a weeb. I don't want you guys to know that though. But no, it's for button bloat. To be like, no, it's because it's too hard is that I feel like it's disingenuous. And I don't mean to say that. I mean to present it as the exact reason when it's no. Samurai had so yes, Hisatsu Kaiten was fun. Hisatsu Kaiten is my favorite ability that they took away. It is so much fun to do your little flip with your katana, sheath it, and then whoosh, like it's so cool. It's so cool. It's so cool. But Samurai has a lot of buttons, and so does Dark Knight, and so does every other single class in this game. To not acknowledge that it's possibly because of that, honestly kind of bothers me.
Why else would they refuse to nerf Picto despite how unhealthy its numbers turned out to be for the endgame?
Because it's fun. Because it's fun. Because Picto is fun. Maybe it's not entirely just for accessibility. Maybe because it's fun. Imagine if you had to press a button before starting every part of your gunbreaker rotation. Well, see, but they got rid of that because it would be hard. And that might scare away players. Nintendo took Picto from me. Just... I'm logging into FF to like show an example just for people that don't play FF or haven't like gotten to level 100. I just want to share. Like it's give me just a moment. But we'll keep watching while this is like loading in.
If a job requires skill, it might drive the shitters away. And Square Enix can't have that. But their idea of making things easy to keep players is flawed. And to my shock, Yoshi-P agrees with me. There's this nice little quote from him recently where he talked about how if a...
What, like, why is it shocking that Yoshi-P would agree with that? Yoshi-P is a gamer first, a developer second. He's also... he's basically, I think he's on the board at Square, and there were rumors he was stepping down recently, and he's not. But why would it be shocking? The guy who grew up playing like Guild Wars and Western MMOs before they became money grubbing just sponges of entertainment media. Why would the person that understands that an MMO doesn't have to be terrible be aware that, hey, maybe we went a little too hard on the nerfing problem, and you know the game's a little too easy now. I don't understand why that would be a shock that that type of person who's heading up this game would come out and be like, yeah, we went a little too far. Yoshi-P is a gamer. He plays MMOs. He understands this game. He understands what MMO players like and what they want and what they've been pining for like a decade now that WoW has not given people. Like, he understands it. I don't get it. Also, for people that don't know how many buttons a Samurai has, for anyone that's curious, do I just show, like, hold on. It's P. Samurai has so many goddamn buttons. And if I pull up the rotation for Samurai, it's going to be annoying. But if these buttons didn't change, there's no room. There's no room on my hotbars for an extra 2 buttons. There's no room for Hisatsu Kaiten. Joke's on you guys, or on the dev team. I still have it on my hotbar. It's still over there. I keep it there because it's my favorite ability and I just want it there. I want the reminder that Hisatsu Kaiten was a thing. I keep it on an extra hotbar somewhere. It is taking up a space for no reason other than sentimentality. But right now, my rotation being 1, 2, 3, 1, 4, 5, 1, 6. And then if I want to use AoEs, 7 and 8 and 9 are my 7, 8, 7, 9. And then popping Mekio Shisui and doing all my other moves, like to build my Sen coins faster, and then having to use my EI Jutsu, like, and this button turns into like 3 different things. And then the Tsubame Gaeshi that I also have over here, my gap opener and closer, and all my debuffs and buffs. There are so many buttons. I don't think they would be removing things just because it makes it too hard. I don't think that's the only reason that they would touch these things. I think there's plenty of reasons that exist.
Side-scrolling game doesn't have holes to fall into, then there's no fun in playing it. I tell you, viewer, I cried tears of joy. Finally, Yoshi understands. He's gonna do it, guys. He's gonna fix the game. And when I played the new dungeons, I felt that he was starting to fix that part of the game. The new normal trials were challenging in a fun way. I'll give them credit where it's due. They have tried to increase the difficulty for this expansion, even if it's slight. And it's a great change, and I appreciated it, but with the state that job design is in, I'm not really sure it matters. You'll hear other people say the jobs have become more and more homogenized over time, and I'm not gonna disagree with them. It's bad for tanks, it's real bad for healers, and to hear you DPS mains tell it, it's not going too good on your side of town either. And maybe this is a controversial
slightly
take.
fair.
Here's the way that I see it. If I can level each healer, one after the other, and I barely have to change my approach to gameplay, I think there's a problem. Even if the encounters are marginally more difficult, the devs forgot that the core gameplay of a job is what creates someone who mains it and keeps playing the damn game. And the thing is, they used to understand that. Scholar was a busy mess in Stormblood, but it was my favorite iteration of the job to date. Astrologian was an RNG-dependent job, but making the best out of a bad card pull was part of the class fantasy. Heavensward Dark Knight's Dark Arts required some thought, but god if it wasn't fun for the people who enjoyed actually managing their mana. Bit by bit, they've been stripping out the things that make jobs different.
Fair.
And Summoner in particular got a complete rework. Nowadays, if you like Dot, you can play Bard, I guess? Yes, I am well.
Okay, this part's fair. Because I was gonna also say Bard. Like, there's no dot class anymore. There's no dot class. Monk had some uptime management on like 4 abilities, and then they took them away, and now Monk is just boring and stupid and terrible, and I hate it. It's why I don't play Monk anymore.
Aware that this is God's most unpopular opinion. But seriously, why did they do old Summoner dirty like that? I'm saying this as someone who never mained the job, because I don't have to. I'd be pissed if it happened to my main, and with Healer it kinda did happen to my main, so I'm sorry. But I do think it was a middle finger to that player base, and the bare minimum they could have done was make a dot job that would replace it. But they didn't. Past Summoner mains got screwed, and
I really missed the sex system from Shadowbringers Astrologian. That was neat. Never, I didn't do Astro back then. I was a Monk main until they took away Monk's dot management, and then I went, okay, I'm done. Or not dot management, but the buff uptime management that it had, and I was like, okay, I'm done. I don't play Monk anymore. Monk's boring. It's dumb. They took away my gap closer or whatever. I don't like it. Monk is stupid. And then they took positionals, and I went, no, that's not so bad. So what did they release? FF15? It already came out, dude. FF15 already came out. FF16's already come out. You're too late, Zed.
there's no sign that they'll ever be unscrewed. They are permanently being by the massive dick of the job designers. And yeah, I know the player numbers were low. I know many people were dissatisfied that it didn't live up to the summoning lore. I know the dot playstyle was an acquired taste. But was the solution to that to completely nuke a playstyle out of the game and leave those fans with no replacement?
Yes. My reasoning is, as much as people don't like Overwatch now and hate Blizzard, nerfing a class into the ground and then rebuilding it back up with the current structure of the rest of the classes is a good way to balance things. I think that's a genuinely good way to balance things. However, the funner way to balance things, which might be what they're doing now, the funner way to balance things in a non-competitive environment, put the new thing in. If it's a little too good, tweak it just a hair. Bring everything else up. Bring everything up to whatever that new fun thing is. The new cool big number pictomancer in this case. Bring everything up. Bring everything up behind it. And just let the classes be fun. However, I don't know what the rest of this segment's going to be, but we've already had the announcement from Yoshi-P that job identity is being the focus of, what is it, 8.0? Is it 8.0? So the next patch, so like 2 years from now, or like a year, like was it a year and a half from now, a year from now, we'll be seeing the actual focus on job identity, and 8.1x, like we'll be seeing it. It's coming. They've announced that already. This team, again, is very slow and deliberate with stuff like this. And if the whole set of patches is going to be focusing on job identity, boy, I can't wait for the next wave of people complaining and screaming that their class that they were screaming about being too homogenized is now too unique and difficult and hard. Because it's going to happen. As a bard main, I want more utility, more situational buffs and cooldowns. Oh yeah, I'm sure. That would make it more interesting. As a monk, I want my positionals back. I would go back to monk today. Tonight, I would go back to monk. If they gave me positionals back, I would learn how it works again. I just want positionals back. If you watch me play samurai, hell, you watch me play Dark Knight, I play like a monk player still. I play like a pre-Shadowbringers monk player. Or pre-post Shadowbringers monk change player. I run around the target like the boss. I'm constantly shifting from the very rear to the flank to the rear. I still play like that because I find it fun to move.
It's sad because, you know, they could have done things differently. For example, maybe a little less funding into the scam known as Blue Mage and a little more into creating another Arcanist spinoff? No? We're gonna keep making limited jobs? Okay, I guess I'll go kill myself. The time and time
because they're
again,
fun. Blue Mage is cool.
That they will choose the path of least resistance. And what they replaced Summoner with was by far the easiest job to play in the entire game. Sure, having a couple...
Okay. Can I highlight a problem I have with how this video is written? Nothing is pre-qualified with the facts that we know as of 2 weeks ago. Or March 5th. We already know that job identity is going to be the focus of a new patch. If all of this is the opinion that we're getting now, it should be prefaced with, by the way, these are my opinions of currently what's going on. However, these opinions should also be written with the reality that is, we know that the job identity patch cycle is coming. It is on its way. And again, the devs are slow on purpose because this is a large game. If they updated this game as fast as the player base wanted, FF14 would be in the goddamn dirt 12 feet under. It would be deader than Anthem. So they don't. They update it with very intentional changes, and then they see how those changes affect how the player base plays, and they see how these changes affect the actual gameplay on an analytical level. Or on an analytics level, because the player base doesn't understand how this game works. The player base that is filled with content creators. Or hold on, the content creator side of the player base, who are the people that talk about this game the most vocally, don't understand how this game works, because a lot of people seem to think this game is filled with PvPers, Savage Raiders, EX runners, just people running this incredibly difficult content or this like high tier, just past mid-core content. No, this game is filled with people who want to experience fun mid-core content like the 24-man Chaos Raid that we got recently. But they're also just here for the story and a little bit of challenge. And that's who this game is built for. This game is not built for whoever out there is raiding like a crazy person every weekend for 8 hours. This game is not built for you. This game has a player base that is made up of, for every 3 players like you, there are probably 40,000 people that do not care about that content. And yes, that does not mean you should not be curated to. By all means, that content exists. They should focus on it. However, this game is not going to be balanced around you because you are not the predominant target audience for this game. Again, that doesn't mean that they should not dedicate some focus and make sure it is balanced. However, you cannot have your 3 pieces of cake and eat all of them too. Like, you can pick which pieces you want to eat at the time, but you're not getting all 3 at the same time. And by the time you get to that 3rd piece of cake, maybe it's going to be like a little bit not as fresh because it's been a while. I'm butchering that phrase. I don't care. That's how I play Dragon. It'd be fast food.
Jobs that are brain dead isn't a bad idea, but you went and replaced one of the sweatiest dot time optimizing spreadsheet maxing player populations with that? But even this is nothing in the face of the greatest consequence to making everything easier.
Spreadsheets, the dev team, I will say this, focus too much on spreadsheets. It's why Island is no fun now. Island on release, from my understanding, was so much more freeform and so much more relaxed and enjoyable. And then they kept trying to like outpace the crazy Animal Crossing psychos that would spreadsheet everything out to optimize growth time on whatever. And now it's just a nightmare, at least from my understanding. I don't know how true that is. That's just what I've heard.
To play. And if you're a healer main, you already guessed it, the total death of the Trinity system. And no, I'm not talking about the religious one. Let's think about the general premise of the Trinity. You have tanks, healers, and DPS. DPS and healers can't take damage for shit, so they need tanks in order to not get DP double-fisted by any roided chocobo that looks in their general direction. Tanks need healers because even though they're the swinging schlong alpha podcast chat of the team, they're only human. They can take more hits, but that doesn't make them immortal. Of course, DPS need healers because 90% of them suck at the game and they need someone to wipe their ass.
That's me.
That's the law of any MMO. And finally, tanks and healers need DPS because they don't want to spend 2 hours throwing cotton balls at the enemy until it finally keels over. And up until Shadowbringers, the Trinity was alive and well, gently suckling on one another's teats in the most beautiful little throuple you've ever seen. That all changed when the Bloodwedding Nation attacked. Do I just? Only a little bit. Warrior is far from the only problem with the Trinity system right now, but it was the first big blow, and the trend has only worsened with time. When I was still playing
Warrior is terrible. It's the worst tank. From a design perspective, whenever the other classes are also considered, Warrior is the worst right now. Warrior is so annoying. Warrior is terrible. Flem has been my healer multiple times, and as a new player, he very quickly was like, oh, having a Dark Knight makes healing fun. Every other tank has too many healing abilities. Having a Dark Knight means I have to do my job, but any other tank, I literally can just ignore them. Like that was his like immediate thing he picked up on. We've talked about it a few times, but it's crazy watching a new player like go, yeah, every tank is just annoying basically because they won't let me do my job because they can just keep themselves alive unless you're a Dark Knight, because then you don't have any abilities to keep yourself alive.
healer. Anytime I got a warrior in my team, I would begin the 5-stage process of grief because I knew I was about to have the most mind-numbingly boring dungeon experience of my goddamn life. There is no skill involved with carrying as a warrior. It is incredibly easy to press Bloodwedding on cooldown, and if you press it on cooldown, you win, whether you have a healer or you don't. In fact, if you want to be a real jackass, there's a fun little prank you can play on the party. If the healer ever dies, you can make sure you don't use any of your tools to keep the DPS alive, and then proceed to solo the boss, flexing your EP in front of their corpses, forcing them to wait half an hour for you to finish one enemy.
I'm curious if they will get rid of those abilities or nerf them into the ground when it comes to the job identity focused patch cycle. Like, I wonder if they're gonna make warrior a little less independent.
I love when that happens. And if the warrior is sentient enough to use their healing tools on the DPS, then it's straight up optimal to ignore the Trinity and run a dungeon with a warrior and 3 DPS instead. After all, DPS is king in this game, and for whatever reason, Daddy P has decided that healers should have the least of it.
That Viper cosplay was super good.
Isn't the only problem, child. This plague of adding cracked healing tools to non-healer kits has only festered. Paladin also has incredible self-sustain, Gunbreaker has respectable self-sustain.
What about Dark Knight?
Dark Knight is Okay, well, there's an exception to every rule, but the point is, the plague has turned into a pandemic.
Dark Knight is
Even the
wonderful.
DPS. Reaper has a heal
I love
over
Dark
time,
Knight.
Dancer has an AoE heal, Summoner has an AoE heal, Pictomancer has a fucking shield. Am I missing anyone? Healers themselves
What about
keep getting new
Samurai?
healing tools when they
We
already
have Third
more
Eye.
healing than they'll ever need, as long as they play in a party that has a pulse. People with an inflation kink must love this trend, because with the amount of bloat you have in healers kits, I doubt they're ever able to play this game fully soft. Yeah, but Lucy, that's just in dungeons and normal mode content. That doesn't matter. Only hardcore stuff matters when it comes to balance. Follow Yoshi-P's advice, and if you want to have fun as a healer, go play Ultimate. First of all, I hate this reasoning, because what you're really saying to me is this. Healers shouldn't be allowed to enjoy the game unless they're going sweaty tryhard mode. But hey, don't worry, I got you covered on that front. Because Ultimate has already been cleared without healers. Psh, those are like the top 0.0000001% of players. Not everyone could do that. Yeah, and I also don't know how to hack into Square Enix's mainframe and find the forbidden ERP logs between GMs. Is that a skill issue on my part, or do you think it's by design? Fact of the matter is, if the devs didn't want you clearing without healers, they wouldn't make it possible no matter what you did. They've got
I feel like the game wouldn't be as fun if there wasn't at least that flexibility. That level of flexibility to be able to clear things like that without healers this early. There's always going to be crazy people. There's always going to be insane people that find a way to do anything. Whenever the patch came out, was it 7.1 or was it just Dawn? I can't remember if it was 7.1 or if it was just Dawntrail. But it was the patch that made Amon completely unbeatable, apparently. Because Curtain Call would just kill everybody because the little the ice little boulders didn't actually do their job. People found a way to beat it because the FF player base, part of them took it as a challenge and they did it. And the way they did it was by abusing the hell out of potions and every other little buff they could find. And they barely squeezed past the actual damage output of that move and they beat it. I don't think I don't think it's a problem to have that ability in the game for some fight. It's just it's how games are always going to be. People are going to find a way to just eke past the restrictions or the expected highest damage number from an attack or something and just barely survive and then continue on
back and fix things where tanks weren't necessary. In the case of healers, they just don't care. And neither does the majority of the player base, it seems. I suspect it's because they don't want their overpowered healing toys yanked away, or because they don't play healer and thus don't give a shit. But hey, it keeps happening and will continue to happen. The most recent Savage tier was cleared without healers. I think on week 2. Very ordinary stuff, perfectly healthy for the game. Wait, oh shit. I have an incoming voice message from Yoshi-P. Do any of you guys understand Japanese?
like tanks just need a rework.
Perhaps unsupported.
And it's just with self-sustainability.
Don't like Yoshi's cuck chair. In fact, healer disappointment has reached such an insane level that there's a thread on the official forums with over 1,000 pages. Healers are pissed, and the devs have been turning a blind eye to it since 5.0. 5 years. 5 years healers have been left in this state with no promise of balance or even changes to their DPS kit to at least give them anything to do while the warrior main solos by breathing. And if I sound gamer rage mad, it's because I am. I loved healing in this game, goddamn, but I was obsessed with it, talked about it all the time. Hell, I started my fucking career over it. So yeah, pardon me if I'm a little pissed, but I'm not going to apologize for having passion about a game.
I don't remember hearing any healers complaining about anything until I want to say like Endwalker, like mid Endwalker. Like, has that been 5 years? I don't remember when Endwalker came out.
put years of my life into. The devs have two choices if they actually care about fixing this. They can either bring the roles back into balance with one another and restore the Trinity, or they can admit they hate dealing with healers and just axe them entirely from the game. I'd take either one at this point. At least that would be proof that the devs have a direction in mind and that they're pursuing it with confidence. But for now, we're left with wishy-washy healer kits that only ever get fun when the party is really, really bad at playing the game. And considering how easy the content is, yeah, that usually doesn't happen. But I don't see this metaphor.
I'm curious of like how like I don't play with like full statics, but I feel like a lot of things still come back down to perspective for this game and where it is. And a lot of that perspective is who you're playing with. Because there's a big difference between playing with competent randoms and a static that is used to clearing savages and knows the game front to back mechanically. And I'm curious like how much that affects the feeling of me being like a royal me. So just the player being able to feel like, oh yeah, the healer role is useless now. The tank role is super independent now. DPS is insanely like overpowered for this, or like, why do I need to worry about X thing? Because competent randoms still leads to struggle just because there's no communication. It's still fun.
Genie being put back into the bottle. I don't think these devs are strong enough. Now that they've given tanks and DPS these strong heals, they're not gonna take them back. Most warriors defend their overpowered job tooth and nail, and I mean, who can blame them? I don't understand how playing something practically unkillable is fun for them, but whatever. Some people like being the Mary Sue of an MMO. I can't criticize them because I sort of joined them. I switched to Gunbreaker in 6.0 and didn't look back. The tank role as a whole is broken and receives constant glazing in the form of buffs, overpowered kits, and special mounts they get just for doing duties while existing as a tank. I figured, why continue being a second-class citizen?
Stormblood had such good music.
Job that the devs actually like. And I think this switching of roles is what gave me the patience to keep playing for the majority of 6.0 to 6.5. But it wasn't enough. And unfortunately for the players, and very fortunately for me milking the hell out of this video's time duration, the Trinity system isn't the only thing showing a lack of effort from the devs. Perhaps one of the biggest so-called black pills in 14 is the slow removal of content over time. See, the whole idea behind having longer patch cycles and waiting longer for new content was that it would result in a better gaming experience. After all, what else are they doing with all that extra time? The answer may surprise you. Drum roll, please. They've added a grand total of exactly less content than you had in the 3-month patch cycle. You know, when I've had a long day of hard...
I feel like they talked about this, though. About how there's less content at the front of this expansion. Because they were focused on actually doing some quality of life updates and things that they could do. I don't know if that's leaning too much on that reasoning just to give them the good graces, but I don't know.
Work, and I just need some time to unwind with my
Gotta bounce to our stream. Bye, Zyra. Have a good night.
I'd love to go sit in my comfy chair, log in, and do nothing. God, I love doing nothing. How do the devs expect us to do all this nothing they're making for us? Sarcasm aside, I do see people questioning the devs' thought process all the time. Like, what do they see as the motivation to keep casual players logging in when there's nothing new to do for months at a time? Don't fret, because I'm 90% sure I have the
Only
answer.
one
They
level
are
off the
hinging their
PvP
bets on the role-playing community. I genuinely think their idea is that enough people are going to
I want that, Evie.
enlightenment just by dressing up their cat girl and AFKing and limbs a square with a dance emote. A paid dance emote, by the way. Because let's not forget that putting emotes in the Cashshop is way more profitable than turning it into an event reward. God forbid we made actual content for the game. Just make product and sell it as quickly as possible, or the shareholder might lose his erection.
Okay, this is missing actual reasoning behind what the developers have done in the past. Like, they have said that okay.
You know you're watching someone use a voice changer.
Okay.
They're not real anime girl.
Okay, we need to. Okay. I don't know if I need to qualify this with this. MMOs of no matter level of success, that includes WoW, are ran on a shoestring budget. They always have been. They always will be, because it's a big game with a giant team that is filled with a lot of moving parts that are working on a lot of different systems and doing a lot of different things. This patch in this patch cycle has been front loaded with graphical update and quality of life changes. There are genuine spaghetti code issues in this game. I didn't want to talk about this yet first. I was going to wait. But as much as I like to say, man, the die system and blah, blah, blah need to be changed and the glamour system is garbage and blah, 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 why can't they just add more? The spaghetti code excuse is too old to be useful anymore. As a consumer, I will stand by that opinion. As a goddamn programmer, though, I knew that there was probably still an issue going on. And I watched a video recently by a YouTuber called Edrim about how the glamour system works in FF14. And I will not dive super into it. I will keep it very short. But basically, the reason it works so easily on WoW is because whenever you store an outfit, it takes up a very small amount of data in WoW, because you're only storing a very small amount of information about that clothing item. In FF14, due to the way the game is built, when you store a clothing item, you are not just storing data for the clothing item, you are storing data for the dye channel. And now we have the second dye channel and all the dyes for each of those dye channels for that clothing item, which means every single item in the game that you have to store causes exponential, explosive growth of how much data must be stored. And I believe the Edrim video says for WoW to FF14, FF14 is 42 times the size for storing something versus WoW's. I believe that's what his video was. I'll have to go actually refresh myself. I might be wrong on that, but my point is it is much larger in FF14 to store information about an outfit or a piece of armor than it is in WoW. It is spaghetti code. It is stupid, but it literally is that. It is spaghetti code. Now, going back to what was just said here with emotes and things.
Event reward. God forbid we made actual content for...
Making actual content for this game while front loading, dealing with all of that spaghetti code, and also dealing with a graphical update where they have to manually go through and update every art asset in this goddamn game takes time. And it doesn't take time just from the actual monetary budget. It takes time from the technical budget. And that's how much time the developer gets to dedicate to doing things. It is not this simple. It is not this perfect machine where everybody's able to work on everything that needs to be worked on at once. Making more content while doing that is impossible. These are a finite amount of people on a team that, yes, while it may be decently sized, they all have projects they're already working on and work assignments. It is the same reason why the content in A Realm Reborn, before they removed a lot of it, felt like busy work, because that's all they could put out was low quality, kind of serviceable busy work while making A Realm Reborn, because they're focusing on other things. This patch cycle, they have said multiple times, because of the graphical update and quality of life, to expect less content. I feel like before this patch cycle, we got more emotes. We had more stuff in events. The reason we don't now is probably because they're focusing on other things. However, the reason why events don't have fun, crazy things like the Valentine's Day, the Valentione Day event, didn't have the Lover's Maze and all of that other stuff that happened a few years back, is because the player base complained. It's because the player base went, why do I have to do an event that takes me 10 minutes? Because then I have to do it on my alts, and that's 10 minutes per 40 characters. And that's like it's like 40 hours that I have to spend on doing everything. And that's dumb. Just let me talk to 2 people and then get the emote and get the outfit. So they did that. They listened to the most vocal part of this player base that counts for maybe 2% of the players. And they stopped doing things like that. It's also a time thing, probably, as for why they stopped doing it also. Because they're working on other things right now. When people say budget, they forget it's not just money. It's time also. Them putting it on the Cashshop, like, I'm sorry. Can we acknowledge that the Mogstation is one of the most ethical cash shops for a game in existence right now, where you cannot find it in FF14. It is not advertised anywhere. It is not promoted anywhere in game. There is not a link to it anywhere in game. It is never mentioned, period. But you can go there. The only way to find out it exists is to see another player with a cool thing and talk to them. Like, where'd you get that? And they go, it's the Mogstation. You go, what's the Mogstation? It's hard for them to make money. The first time I learned that games could be lost forever is Lego Universe. That game just ran out of budget. Yeah, there's also that. But FF14 makes enough to basically fund all of Square's products. But I agree with parts of this video. Other parts of it so far seem incredibly cynical.
The game. Just make product and sell it as quickly as possible, or the shareholder might lose his erection. Yeah, man, the game devs do a little uptime maximizing of their own, and their motto is ABC. Always be cocksucking. But the sad part is, they keep...
Like, why shit on the dev team so much also? If it's just for the joke of it, I don't get... yes, but it's tasteless. Like... This is a dev team that has done so much for this player base. This is a dev team that has done so much for this game. There's no reason to actually just sit here and like shit on the dev team. And like, no, it's explicitly because of shareholders. There's zero other reason. The game, there's not a resource issue, period, at any point. They have infinite time and infinite scheduling ability for all of the team members. They can totally do 15 different things at once. They can work on 30 different things at once. Development is iterative. It is hard. It takes time.
Doing it because it works. There is a significant part of the player base that couldn't give a shit about the actual game. They just use it as their ERP hub and keep their sub active so they can find out what happens at the end of the Rogan game thing they started last Wednesday. Sprinkle a little Cashshop slut glam on top, and you have Yoshi-P's dream player right there. And let it be known that I'm not sitting on roleplay. I've done a little cringe activity back in my Tumblr heyday, but I'll be damned if I let Yoshi-P prioritize the role-playing scene over actual content. The fact that a lot of people defend the Cashshop is another debate entirely. Misshapen Chair made a great video on that, so check that out in the pinned comment.
Oh, do we have another video to go watch tomorrow or Monday? Do we have another video to go watch Monday, maybe? Oh my god. The Cashshop exists and therefore I hate it. It's 10 minutes long. All right, we have Monday's React.
You want to hear my controversial take? I'm not getting into it here, but even if you ignore the paid emotes, paid outfits, paid dyes, paid mounts, you get...
Okay, a lot of things on the Cashshop are event items also. Like, a lot of things, like, I'm curious how many are before I like completely put myself on this hill. I'm curious what the percentage of items that are like available in the game like from prior, you know, expansions and things that are now available. And it allows people to get them if they just weren't able to find or able to do the event. Here, I have a good example of that. Me, I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. And because of that, I did not finish the Little Ladies Day event.
The video after Futurama.
I literally logged in and found out that I could not complete the quest to get the outfit for this year's event because I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. I'll get the outfit next year for like $10, $15, $18, however much it is. I'll just get it then. And that's the cool thing about how they actually have it set up, is the fact that I can get the outfit even though I missed the event due to an IRL emergency. If you do not like this Cashshop, that's fine. You can be against it on principle, but you need to acknowledge that it is one of the most ethically implemented Cashshops in the gaming industry. Period.
The idea, then you'll have to wrestle with the fact that the game objectively has less content than ever before. Let me give a brief overview. First, we went from getting 2 new expert dungeons in a patch to only 1. Whatever. Small potatoes, right? Just walk it off. And then, we lost our job quests and got role quests instead. A decently sized blow. Many people enjoyed them, and we would no longer be getting updates to the quests that embellished the job and class fantasy we were so drawn to in the first.
Okay, I'll agree. The fact that we don't get job quests, we just get role quests. Yes, that sucks. However, I think it's important to just set perspectives for people. That would mean writers have to write a story for each of these. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Wait. 4, 8, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. That's 23 independent side stories that have to be constantly worked on, written, like drafted, checked, polished, translated, etc. Animation work, like assets might need to be made for them, etc., on top of MSQ, on top of all of the other side stories this game has for, I don't know, let's see, the fucking like raids that we run, like on top of all of this. Yes, it's a lot of work. I'm sure they hit a moment inside with, again, I don't want to keep using this word, but you could call it the technical budget of, this takes a lot of time to make stories for every single one of these classes. Yes, it sucks, but when you're getting more and more roles added to this game and more jobs with more and more stories that need to be written, concessions are going to need to be made. Games are compromises. Saying it's because they want to give us less content, I'm sorry, that's incredibly cynical. There's more to the picture here. Oh, hold on, wait, I forgot a little bit of something. You also have stories for each of these goddamn classes. What did I say? There's 23 here. 4, 8, 12, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. That's 33 stories that had to be written with animations. They have to be translated. They have to be drafted, checked again. That's a lot of work. It's insane to think that they can keep that up. I'm sorry. MMOs are not the genre where that happens. They have always been ran on a shoestring budget. Like, that is not how this works in my mind. However, I am not happy that we have role quests. I dislike them. I think they're boring. I do not like that it's just the tank role quest. Does that mean that I can't completely understand why they exist? No, I get it. I completely get it. I'm allowed to think it's worse because it is, but I get it. And it's totally okay. I completely understand. I don't like it, but I understand.
First place. Were the role quests at least better written or longer? Not really, but I mean, there's so many jobs in the game. I guess it was too much to keep up with. And at least we still have our relic grind, right? Isn't that something we can spend a lot of time having fun with in game? Sorry, man. About those relics, yeah, those are just tomestones now. Yeah, you can just buy it by running the same 2 dungeons in expert roulette over and over again.
And they're undoing this. They're undoing this. They said people didn't like the new system. And the reason why they did that in the first place is because people complained about the relic grind. People complained about it. And they're like, okay, well, we need to make this simpler. So we watched I'm sorry, that really sucks. No, it's fine. I'm out of the hospital now. I'm good.
Sorry. Is that disappointing? Don't worry, guys. We're working on new content. There's just so much other content we're developing. Can't you see? Look at how much content you have now. What are the new things we have? Well, we have Island Sanctuary, which turned out to be less like a farming simulator and more like a click and wait simulator. We also have Criterion Dungeons, which gave out less than stellar rewards. We also have new extreme trials. I mean, not really. They're just old extreme trials rebalanced for the current level cap, so we're just recycling old shit and putting mediocre rewards on it. But yeah, that's technically new. We're also getting seasonal events. Less and less, with each one taking less time than the one before it and offering increasingly worse rewards. And other than that, we have... hold on, let me just, sit...
Here's the thing. I will fully concede that I am falling into, as said at the start of this video, the dick riding for the developers and going, no, they need to be defended camp. I will fully concede that if the job identity patch and this upcoming patch on Monday isn't following through on proving that they've just been working on things. And so far, again, the graphical update, the quality of life stuff, I'm sure that's taken a lot of time. And they have talked about this before, where if they dedicate time to this stuff, we're going to have to deal with getting a patch cycle that just doesn't have a lot of content. Like the player base has talked about this too. Like, if they were to focus on this stuff, we're not going to get a lot of content for like 2 years. And I feel like that might be what's happening. I genuinely do. Is just they did a half measure with it, where instead of focusing entirely on quality of life, they're trying to create a balance while not letting the game feel completely abandoned in terms of like the content flow we're completely used to. But I feel like people are over exaggerating it also.
Through my files here, we have... Oh! Here it is. We finally put Hilda's hairstyle in the cash shop. What's that? Have we fixed the housing situation? Well, no, that's not... Yeah, you do have to stay sub to keep your house, of course you do. Are you looking forward to getting new outfits in the dungeons and crafted gear? Don't go too crazy with your expectations there. The vast majority are just recolors and dyeable versions of old stuff. Do Viera and Hrothgar at least have hats yet? Oh yeah, it has been years by now. Hey,
yes, they are coming.
man, the devs need...
According to the images of the patch on Monday, they're coming.
The trend is clear. You, as the player, are getting less and less content while putting in the same exact money you did when they were giving you more. And there are people out there who will tell you that wanting more is bad. That wanting more is asking for the game devs to be overworked and abused. Who are these mysterious individuals? The White Knights who come
I'm a White Knight.
$1 million company's honor. The legendary, the fabled, the ever-present great community, by the way. That's right. If all of that wasn't enough, Final Fantasy XIV is backed up by a community that defends it from criticism as if 14 is the project of a few poor, underfunded indie devs instead of Square fucking Enix. The great community, by the way, gamer, follows a simple line of protocol.
The thing is, Square has a lot of money. They don't care. MMOs, again, have always been ran on a budget that is insanely tight. And it doesn't matter how much money the MMO makes. It's always a shoestring budget for some reason. We can't get around that. The only way to get around it is for a company like Square to actually concede that, oh, maybe if we do dump a bunch of money into this, it'll actually, make more money. It's just how it's been, and it sucks and it's annoying.
The DDD. Deny, dismiss, and downplay. That's a fun game you can do. See if you can spot the different types as we go along. The most infamous part of these specimens is their constant criticism of, quote, elitism within the game. Of course, to them, elitism is when you're semi-competent at playing. Asking for harder normal content so you don't fall asleep in dailies. Elitism. Asking for job complexity.
Is that me?
Elitism. Asking for healers to have more DPS options. Believe it or not, elitism.
Is that me? Am I being elitist by pointing out that most of the player base doesn't run the hardest content in the game? And of course, the developers are not going to cater to the hardest content in the game 100% of the time. Does that make me elitist?
In their eyes, anything that doesn't cater to the lowest common denominator is for elitists. scum. And you better believe that if you want to kick that healer from your party who's doing nothing but casting Cure when you're already at full HP, you're just elitist, bro. You're not
I'll blacklist that healer and I will kick them.
dead, so they're totes doing their job. How dare you ask for more from the player base? Stop being such an elitist, my guy. Not everyone wants to try hard by having a basic understanding of the game like you. They've done this since the dawn of the game, always hiding behind some corner, waiting for someone to make the grave error of asking for more difficulty or complexity. Then they jump out of the bushes to tell you that they know someone who's disabled, or someone who doesn't have a lot of time to play the games, or someone who only plays for the story. As if there aren't already solutions to every one of these problems. You suck at the game and don't want to burden anyone? Use trust. You're busy and you want to see just the story? Watch a playthrough of only the story parts. Dozens of those exist on this very platform. You're disabled but want to play with your friends? Why not try out Summoner, a very mobile job that can be played with one hotbar and controller. It's not that people don't want these accessibility options to exist, it's that they don't want that to become the entire game. Future Lucy adding to this point. I really hate the accessibility argument that people make to defend the devs, because while I was putting together this video, I literally found a thread with about 80 pages worth of people talking about how the new graphics hurt their eyes and makes the game unplayable. These people have gone completely ignored, with not even a mention from the devs. And considering how easy it would be to add some settings to get rid of the bloom and maybe lower the brightness, I really don't know how you could actually believe they care about accessibility. Okay, back to the video, just felt that deserved mentioning. But in the eyes of the great community, by the way, this is toxicity. And asking for normal mode content to be anything more than...
I'm curious, that was on the... How often are the developers paying actual proactive attention to the English forums? Because I've heard mixed messages about they never pay attention or they do pay attention. And the only time I heard that they have paid attention recently is whenever the graphics update came out and it was like not great. And she showed a picture of the English forums, and I'm curious, just have they gone unheard because they don't care about accessibility, or are they unheard because the devs just literally do not read that forum and do not care about the English forum that much? Because I feel like if it was on the JP forum, we would see some movement from the devs, at least a little bit. Do I have anything to back that up? Hell no. I have no idea how active they are on the English forums. I have just heard that they do not read them and they do not care about the English forums.
A brain-dead slug is a sin, but they defend much more than the gameplay. They're also ride or die for the story, no matter how low it's fallen. Let's take Dawntrail, for example. Twitter in particular was the Wook Lamont Defense Squad. Any criticism of her writing would get you called a plethora of insults. Illiterate, brain-rotted by TikTok, and edgelord. I'm pretty sure they just started pulling shit out of a hat at some point. There were even people straight up calling the story brilliant and some of the best writing in the game. If you don't like it, you don't have an attention span.
Okay, so my Twitter feed was the exact opposite of this, and it was people hating on Dawntrail constantly, not defending it. So algorithm be algorithming for people, because mine was filled with people just hating it constantly, no one defending it.
You're just a selfish brat.
It's just toxicity.
The spotlight isn't on you. You're just a bigot. You hate women. You're a negative Nancy who hates happiness. And if you're right and the story is mid and the quality is down, don't worry. They're just world building right now. It's impossible to make a good story in a new world, right? Let's...
Everybody bitches about Stormblood. Everybody bitches about Stormblood. Everyone bitches about Lise. And it's the same thing. Stormblood is setting up world building. Stormblood is setting up the next expansions. Stormblood is a transition from Heaven's Word to the next big chapter of the story. But we need to resolve character arcs right now. Stormblood's the same thing. Dawntrail is a transition from the end of Endwalker to a new adventure and the next arc. It is doing a lot of lifting under the surface, probably, that we will see happen later. We cannot see it now because we do not have the upcoming expansions that will follow Dawntrail's story. WooClimat's writing does suck at times. She is very much a shallow version of Naruto that goes, woe is me, I don't know what to do, I'm depressed, I can't do anything. And the Warrior of Light goes, no, don't look at it like that, WooClimat. You're very independent and strong, or you got this. You have us supporting you. And she wipes her tears every time and looks at the camera and goes, you know what? You're right. You're right, guys. I'm going to listen to you. And then it's like she just got 10 years of therapy in 2 seconds. Dawntrail is good. WooClimat's writing is questionable at best at sometimes. Other times, she is just entertaining. But her writing and consistency as a character is questionable at best. The rest of it, great. From the middle part of Dawntrail onwards, fantastic. The front half of Dawntrail, ups and downs. Just like the intro to every new TV show, new chapter of something, like everything.
Ignore the fact that they literally did that with Shadowbringers. Let's make excuses for the writing team. Guys, have some sympathy. It's really hard to sell books too, because all of them are required to world build for 400 pages before they make things interesting. That's why there's no such thing as a booming bookstore industry selling novels that only have one volume. This community made me feel genuinely gaslit about my experience with Dawntrail. It wasn't just 1 or 2 people jumping to the game's defense, it was thousands. But if I had to summarize my thoughts on the story after giving it time, letting it sink in, and coming back to it with a clear head,
I want to hear this part.
Still felt like an insult to the player's intelligence, as if it was asking you to forget every lesson you learned.
This video is very cynical. This video is incredibly cynical. It feels like it's focusing on the most obvious negative interpretation or reasoning behind every decision of the devs and anyone like defending any part of this game or trying to have a conversation about it. This video is very cynical. Saying Dawntrail is condescending to the player
felt like an insult to the player's intelligence.
Saying it's condescending to the player that's a very strong statement. And I don't know if it's strong for engagement bait or if it's strong because this is the genuine opinion, but it's very cynical. FF14 is not this money-hungry beast that is slowly moving forward with the goal explicitly of just siphoning everything it can from your wallet. The devs are one of the most, if not the most transparent development team in the industry, aside from probably Hello Games on No Man's Sky. It is a team that has shown again and again, year after year, that they care about this game. They care about making sure the players understand what's going on, and they care about making sure this product is a product that, yes, it's an MMO, it's ran on a shoestring budget, but it is a product that they are proud of. And yes, money is part of the equation. Of course it is. It's a game you play, you pay a subscription for. Of course money is going to be part of this equation. It always will be. But what's the rest of this? Planning on editing this part and making a response? I don't even know. Honestly, I don't know if I even want to finish the video. It's so like the cynicism of it is getting just annoying to me. The cynicism of it, of being, it's definitely for the shareholders. It's definitely because Yoshi-P is doing this. It's definitely because the dev team is doing this. It's definitely because, and don't make excuses for them by saying that they promise these other things or they're working on a bunch of, it would make them overwork. Yes, it would make them be overworked because they have said multiple times very transparently that they were working on a graphical update, which, yes, is a lot of work. It's why I can't zoom in more, but I can't zoom in more, but Realm Reborn's textures are so bad because of how fast they had to remake the assets. They took the time to do that, and A Realm Reborn's assets looked terrible because they were remaking things behind the scenes with 1.0. They didn't have the time. Development is not this thing. It is like going to like any store that provides any service and just, if it's not perfect, while also demanding that, I'll just use fast food for an example, but make me my Big Mac while you're making my milkshake, while you're grabbing 3 sodas for me and my large fry and my McRib. I also need 3 apple pies and I need 2 Happy Meals. You have 3 minutes to make all of that. And then you end up missing parts of your meal or something's wrong. You're like, what the fuck's wrong with you? It's your job. Why didn't you just make it happen? McDonald's is a $1 billion company. Why didn't this come out the way I wanted it? Why is the timeline taking so long? Or they don't give it to you and it takes 8 to 15 minutes because they have to make some of this stuff and you get your food and you still complain that, why did it take so long? McDonald's is this $1 billion company. Why did you not give me my Happy Meals until 12 minutes into this interaction? It was supposed to be 3 minutes. I got the same thing yesterday in 6 minutes, but it's not faster this time. It's not the same amount of time this time. It took longer. It's like, well, because you added an extra 4 items to the thing today that took longer. Is that analogy bad? I don't know. But it's just, this video feels incredibly cynical. I don't know if we're going to finish it. This video feels incredibly cynical. Like things that have more complexity behind them than it sounds like they do initially aren't being qualified. It's not being communicated to the viewer that, hey, the development of this game is not this one step process. The development of this game is a lot of moving parts. And if any of the time is taken away from those parts, it slows down a lot of the process, and the player base is feeling it now. Am I speaking with authority on this? I hope it doesn't sound like I am. But I'm pretty confident that what I'm saying is not incorrect when it comes, at least entirely, when it comes to the fact that them focusing on graphical updates and quality of life fixes are taking time away from the development of other parts of this game. Not to mention that the patch on Monday is the most content in an update this game has ever received. And they've probably been working on that too in the background for quite a while. People will find a way to bitch about it though. The people always do. And this cheap shot of a great community, by the way. Are we going to qualify that? Are we going to explain what that means? Are we going to explain that the community in the game can almost never be seen shit talking other people or having conversations on shout chat where it's just, yeah, Yoshi-P's failing this game, blah, 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 negativity. And how if you go on Twitter, all you do get is that. If you go on Reddit, all you do get is that. If you go on reviews for any product, the most vocal people are people that have a problem. The most vocal people are people that have an issue that doesn't exist and they just don't like the product. Yes, the people that have a genuine problem, read those reviews, listen to them. But the people that are just not liking a part of something and then complaining about it, I don't think they have as much weight. Let's watch Futurama, it said. Where are we in this video? 26 minutes. What do we got coming up? Stocking plugin debacle. We've talked about that. Dev response or lack thereof. They did respond. And was their response a little, I won't say weak, but it definitely was people wanted this very upfront, strong, Yes, here's a solution along with the like, hey, don't do this. They did make a solution though. It's coming. It's coming in a patch. It's coming in a patch that came fairly quickly. And could the response have been better and faster? Honestly, yeah, probably. But it's better that they acknowledged it and put the patch out, even if it took like a couple weeks. And maybe it took a couple weeks because of the way data is handled in the game. Like we talked about how it works there in the first place.
By the way, would you be interested into watching a 3-hour video showing how much Tears of the Kingdom fails? It's really good.
Maybe. I haven't played Tears of the Kingdom. Send it to me on Discord. Criticism will not kill the game. It won't kill the game, but yeah, no, I'm not. Criticism will not kill the game. Time to make FF14 great again. I don't know. I feel like this video is cynical for the sake of being cynical, and it's negative just to be negative at times. If like it feels like to me, so I don't know if I want to finish this video. Like it's just not. Things are not being qualified that I feel like need to be qualified. I feel like if you're trying to be representative of this game, or representative of this game, or representative of how this game has developed over time and why we are where we are and how these flaws have come about, it is your responsibility to qualify these things with context and show the bigger picture, not just it's the shareholders. It's definitely shareholders. Mogstation bad, when it's not that simple. It's really not that simple. It genuinely is not that simple. At the end of the day, there are so many factors that go into it that slow these things down, that make development of this game have bumps and hurdles. It makes the game itself have bumps and hurdles. But to posit that it's only because Yoshi-P wants to make money for the shareholders, I think is incredibly misleading and incredibly unfair and just manipulative. Because I'm sorry, I'm gonna point to Blizzard. Just look at Blizzard. If you want to have a company that you can look at and go, it's for the shareholders, it's to squeeze money out of you. Look at Riot. It's for the shareholders. It's to squeeze money out of you. Fair statements, because their behavior conveys that. Their actual PR behavior confirms that. And the way the team communicates to the player bases confirms this. The way the FF team communicate with the player base and talk to them and actually show up for the players does not confirm that at all. In fact, I would say it shows quite the opposite. But I feel like this is a very cynical video. I have no interest in finishing the rest of it, especially if the representation of people defending this game is great community, by the way, with no expansion. They do for the person who runs the channel. But why is the representation great community, by the way? Because there is plenty of argument to be made that the community for FF14 is genuinely good in a nuanced manner, while acknowledging that, yeah, there are like bad actors in it and shitty people. There's bad people there's bad actors and shitty people in every community. I don't care what it is. It could be fucking postage stamp collectors. Fucking grandma's racist. She hates black people. But boy, she loves stamps. And she's really vocal about how much she doesn't like anybody that's not white. Like, there's bad actors no matter how benign the hobby is. It doesn't matter what it is. So like, what? Maybe that's extreme. Maybe that's an extreme example. But regardless, like, hyperbolism aside, or hyperbolism aside. Did I say that right? Whatever. Hyperbole aside. why are, like, who, when defending this game is, yeah, people talk about how bad the FNAF community is, but I've met so many amazing people. Like, I feel like they just pick and choose and make their point exaggerated. Yeah, that's a good way to summarize a lot of things. Like, hey, look, before I like end this segment, because yeah, I'm gonna just put this on YouTube. Me disagreeing with this video is not me like making any statement on Lucy Pyre's character, persona, or portrayal of themselves or anything. My issues that I'm vocalizing are specifically with the presentation of the video. And I just disagree with the presentation of a lot of the parts of this video and how the information is qualified and then presented to the viewer. That's it.